Hey girls and gals, welcome back to another weekly reading vlog and happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. I am starting this Tuesday, May 4th, even though where I am living right now it is well into the 70s, almost 80s, and it is not long sleeve weather. Of course, I had to wear my favorite Star Wars shirt to celebrate. I was listening to some of the soundtracks earlier while I was reading and it was an absolutely incredible experience. John Williams is and will always be the man, and I might watch one of the movies later. We'll have to see, but I did want to come on here, start the new weekly reading vlog. I am going to try and have them be a little bit more of a weekly basis as opposed to, I usually do like one reading vlog a month. However, I'm just feeling really inspired and I've just really been in the mood to film weekly reading vlogs and just film in general. So we're gonna try and see, like, maybe on a more consistent basis if I can do them. If not, no pressure on myself. But I did get my very first book of the month box in the new place yesterday, which was really exciting, and I did get 2 books. I wanted to get 3, but my shelves are already a little bit crowded, as you can see behind me, and I'm gonna be completely honest, the closest IKEA, which is where I like to get my bookshelves from, the closest IKEA is 2 hours away, so we're either going to have to see if shipping is not so terribly expensive, or we're just gonna have to take like a 2-hour car trip, which is crazy. I love IKEA. I love walking through, like, I really do love the experience of walking through IKEA and getting like home decor sort of ideas. Like, while we're there, even if we go with one piece of furniture in mind, it's always fun to walk around, kind of see different layouts and get inspired for our home. But the long story short in all of that, I did get my book of the month books, and I'll just go over them pretty quickly. I actually started one already, Kathy Wang's Imposter Syndrome. I had not heard anything about this book until I saw it as one of the monthly picks, and it looked really intriguing to me. So it's a novel about women in the workplace, the power of big tech, and the looming threat of foreign espionage. So I'm 100 pages in. It is quite the ride already. Again, I would say this is like, I need to think of a better word for this type of genre, but it is like a thriller, but a slower paced thriller. Like 100 pages in, you can kind of see the setup and like where the action is going to go, but it's very character driven and it takes a lot of time introducing characters and their relationships with other characters and their life histories and reasons and motivations for why they do the things that they're going to do. And I am really enjoying it so far. Again, I hadn't heard anything about this one. It is following 2 different women in Silicon Valley. The first woman, Julia, she's the head of a really huge social media sort of platform, and she is actually like a plant by Russian spies to obtain access to American information. So that is very interesting and kind of exploring her and what she's actually doing in the American eye, and then what she's doing behind the scenes, especially when it comes to like these Facebookian sort of apps where you store a lot of personal information, and just talking about the privacy and everything going along with that. And then our second character's name is Alice, and she is the daughter of immigrants, Chinese immigrants, and they worked really hard to give her a better life. She has a really good degree and education that her parents worked really hard to give to her in America. However, the job she's working at is very low level and doesn't really reflect all of the hard work and all the education she put into her degree, and it's kind of exploring a lot of reasons behind that, which is really interesting. And she's actually a lower level worker at this company that Julia, I believe our protagonist on the cover, is running. So that's all I really have on this one. I really went into this one blind. I just kind of heard the blurb, thought it sounded really intriguing with the concepts that it was talking about, so there is that one. And then the second one is also a book that I would like to get to this month, and that is going to be Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, and this is a retelling of Theseus and the Minotaur, that myth, but it is told through the eyes of Ariadne, and I am pretty sure I'm not saying that right. I did have like a whole entire year in school where in English class we learned a bunch of ancient mythology and Greek mythology. Being from the Midwest, a lot of the names that I was taught in the educational settings actually turns out years later, surprised, to not be the correct pronunciations. So I'm actually going to see if I can find an audiobook for this one and at least see if I can listen to a sample just so I can get some of these names down correctly when I'm reading them. So in my mind, I'm reading them correctly. But I've heard this is for fans of Circe, and I really enjoyed that book by Madeline Miller. So I am looking forward to reading this one, hopefully in the month of May as well. And then moving on to some other really exciting bookish news. Today, RF Kuang announced her next book project, and I believe this is going to be the first part in a duology, just based on looking up like publishing information and how this project, like, it was sold and announced on the publisher's page. I think it's a duology, either that or 2 books covering the same thing, I don't know. But she just announced her project, which she's been calling the Oxford novel. If you follow her for a really long time now, pretty much since The Burning God came out, she's been talking about the Oxford novel, which is her next project. And we got some information about that today, which is really exciting. And it's called Babel, or The Necessity of Violence, an Arcane History of the Oxford Translators' Revolution. Comes out August of 2022. So excited. It's already going to be my most anticipated release of next year. Absolutely cannot wait. And not only that, but we did get the synopsis as well. So this is saying that it's a thematic response to The Secret History and a tonal response to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and it grapples with student revolutions, colonial resistance, and the use of translation as a tool of empire. So this is a dark academia novel that is really delving into experiences that I feel like at least a lot of mainstream, really popular, really successful dark academia novels don't focus on, which is they tend to be more white-centric, and this is going to dive into a person of color's experience, and then also kind of exploring themes of colonialism, and I am just so excited for it. So this is an alternate history tale, which is really exciting. And it has secret societies in it. Our main character's name is Robin Swift, and he trains for years in Latin, Ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. Babel is the world's center of translation and, more importantly, of silverworking, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation through enchanted silver bars to magical effect. Silverworking has made the British Empire unparalleled in power, and Babel's research in foreign languages serves the Empire's quest to colonize everything it encounters. Oxford, the city of dreaming spires, is a fairy tale for Robin, a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge. But knowledge serves power, and for Robin, a Chinese boy raised in Britain, serving Babel inevitably means betraying his motherland. As his studies progress, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organization dedicated to sabotaging the silverworking that supports imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide, can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? That sounds so incredible. RF Kuang already dealt with some similar themes in the Poppy War. In terms of that trilogy, it kind of touched upon, especially in the later 2 installations of that trilogy, about imperialism and about the devastating effect that it can have on the countries that it's looking to take over. And of course, that was all in a fantasy world, with the empires obviously being influenced by countries in our current world, but obviously they were changed for a fantasy story. And this one, because it is a historical reimagining, or like an alternate universe sort of thing, it is taking place, it is talking about Britain and colonization, and RF Kuang really does a really good job of exploring those topics in a fantasy, or in this case, historical sort of fantasy setting. I'm really looking forward to picking this book up. I just had to share, I normally don't really talk about like new book releases in my vlogs, just in terms of like things being announced, but this is a project that I've really been looking forward to. And just looking at the character art, which I'll also post as well, and that is by the account Cosmic Bread, Cosmic bread. The character art looks stunning as well. So I'm really excited. Today has just been a very good day in terms of like fandom content and just different like bookish things happening. So I'm very excited for Babel and just looking forward to, I guess, August of next year. I love dark academia. That's one of my favorite subgenres at the moment, and RF Kuang is one of my favorite writers. So I'm really excited to see what is next for her in terms of her future work. Now that that fangirl moment is over, I think I'm pretty much done with this update for today. Current read, I'm going to try and read some more of Imposter Syndrome. It is around 400 pages. I just hit the 100-page mark. I'm on page 112, so this is very dense and there is like a lot of terminology and kind of convoluted information being discussed in here. It's not the book's fault. It's just like talking about all of these people with different access codes and different names, different code names, and talking a lot about industry specific terms in Silicon Valley that I'm not as familiar with, and also talking about like app privacy and security and things like that. So this is definitely not a read that I don't think you could like fly through. I think you need to read it slowly. This is one where I feel like the devil is really going to be in the details, so I will continue to read this, and that is really all I have for reading updates. So I will check back in with y'all tomorrow. Happy Thursday, friends. So yesterday I got the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Very excited about that. I get my second dose June 2nd, so I'm very excited to get that one. I didn't really have any side effects other than the fact that I got it at 6 and then we came home, ate dinner, and then after like we cleaned up with dinner and everything, I was just so tired, so I ended up going to bed at like 9:30. I normally go to bed around 11:30 to midnight, so yeah. And then I normally get up around 7:30 or 8. I slept until 10 today, so I got plenty of sleep. So really I think the only side effect was that it just made me a little bit tired. So I am feeling good today, and I'm very excited that I was finally able to get it. And yeah, in terms of reading updates, I've actually been on a very big podcast kick this week. So I've actually been listening to podcasts a lot of the time where I'd normally listen to an audiobook. So I've definitely been doing that a little more than usual this week, so not really any audiobook updates for y'all, but I am slowly making my way through Imposter Syndrome by Wang. I'm gonna say 50% of the way through this one, maybe like 45% of the way through. I'm still really enjoying this one. Again, I don't know, I would hesitate to call this one a thriller. I would almost say it's more of like a mystery drama because it's very slowly paced and there are two different main characters, and again, I'm on page like 150, and I believe according to the synopsis their storylines are supposed to intersect, and they haven't yet. So I am enjoying this one. I really am enjoying the conversations that it's having about Silicon Valley and just kind of the ruthless, cutthroat nature of innovation and these big tech companies in general. So I am really enjoying it. I will say I am in a really big fantasy mood also. While I have really been enjoying that, it is a little bit out of my comfort zone because it does almost feel like very literary drama at times, which I don't mind. I am really enjoying this, just a bit out of what I'd normally be reading. And then there have just been so many like book announcements and things like that that have been happening this week. Actually, I found out last night that Sarah J. Maas is announcing the title and the cover of the newest book in the Crescent City series. So I have really been wanting to pick this book up. I read it this time last year and I wanted to do a reread for a while. However, I definitely wanted to wait off until I heard when the release date of the second book is, because this is like 900 pages. I want to have it fresh in my mind before I dive into the next one. So depending on when that release date is, I might just go rogue and pick this up this week, even though it definitely is not on my TBR or anything like that. And this would be a TBR breaker because, again, 900 pages. So this has definitely been the week of exciting new book news. And then one of also my favorite artists, musicians, Dodie, is coming out with her first album tomorrow. So there's just like a lot of new excitement happening this week that I am definitely here for. I'm actually gonna make a little bit of a prediction. I don't know if you can see. So this is Sarah's Instagram page kind of showing you that she has not announced the new book cover as of yet. I'm gonna make my own prediction here. We already know that the title is 5 words long, just like House of Earth and Blood. I guess it depends on how many books are in this series. I think if we're just going, you know, the 4 houses of Midgard, just going down from there, House of Earth and Blood is the first one. So I would assume it would be House of Sky and Breath. And I think the cover is going to be very similar to this one, hopefully. I really like the layout of this cover design. I think it's going to be like not a navy blue, but a darker light blue, if that makes sense. I always feel like in a book series, it's very common for fantasy. The first book will be blue and the second book will be red, or vice versa. If you look at the Aragon series, that was blue and then red and then black and then green. And then the Poppy War, depending on if you're in the US or the UK, it was red, blue, and then yellow, or red, blue, and then purple. So yeah, I know a lot of people were guessing that it was going to be House of Many Waters, but that's only 4 words. I guess they could use blue for that one as well, but I have a feeling it's House of Sky. Blue, lighter blue, is very much like a sky color, and then House of Many Waters, I feel like you could do more of a green or like a darker color there. So I'm gonna say I think it's House of Sky and Breath, and I think it's gonna be blue. Maybe that's just wishful thinking because like that sky blue, again, I think since it's a fantasy release, it'll be a little bit darker than like a pastel sky blue, but I think it's gonna be sky blue. But that is just my prediction. So right now I think I'm going to try and power through as much of this as I can, because I know when that announcement comes out, I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably going to be feeling like picking up House of Earth and Blood. So yeah, I'll actually get back on and do another update when it's announced, just so I can see in the moment if I was right or not. So I will talk to y'all later. Gonna go get some reading in and then hopefully have some exciting book news later on today. So it is Friday and I do have quite a few reading updates for you. First of all, Crescent City book number 2 was announced yesterday and I was right. And I'm not giving myself too much credit for that because I do think a lot of people kind of was thinking the same thing as I was. So the next book is going to be called House of Sky and Breath, and it's actually coming out January 2022, which is a little sad because I was hoping that it was going to come out November of this year, but that's okay. So while I do really want to read this, I've been itching to pick it up since that announcement kind of happened. I think I'm going to wait until December and read this in December. So that way everything will be completely fresh in my mind for that January release date of the second book in the series. And that's also very crazy for me because I just started doing like TBRs this year, and it's crazy to think now I'm already like putting books on TBRs for like December, which is so far away. But that's the Crescent City news. Again, I feel like if you cared about it, you've already heard about it prior to this vlog coming out because obviously the news was released on Thursday and it is now Monday, at least when I am publishing this vlog. So in terms of reading updates, I did finish Imposter Syndrome. I really enjoyed this one and I was quite surprised and happy and relieved that I enjoyed this one so much, just because luck of the draw, the past 2 book of the month books that I've chosen to read I have really not liked. So nothing against the service, obviously. It was just really bad luck. I think it was a book from January and a book from March, so it wasn't even like they were in back-to-back months, but I really enjoyed this one. So I'm glad that I kind of got out of my book of the month slump with this one. And then I was also planning my June TBR. Normally I do not plan them out this much in advance, but June is my birthday month, so I really wanted to make sure that my TBR was just filled with a whole bunch of wonderful books. So I actually decided that I was going to try and read The Mask Falling this month because I want to get caught up in the Bone Season series. However, I am going to read that during my birthday month because I just have a feeling that I'm really going to love it. I know a lot of people have been emotionally wrecked by it, but I am a Cancer, so I just feel like that sort of catharsis and like a good cry around my birthday would be a really nice reading experience in my birthday month. I don't know, I'm crazy. But in preparation for that, I did manage to track down a copy of The Dawn Chorus, and this is a novella set in between books 3 and books 4 with some callbacks to book 1, filling in some gaps that we may have missed. It's a novella, it's very short. I picked it up last night, ended up finishing it in about an hour or so, and I did really enjoy this one. So Samantha Shannon has said herself that none of her novellas are ever going to be important for you to read in terms of understanding story, so you don't have to read them to understand the Bone Season series, and you definitely don't have to read this one before the 4th one and feel like you're missing out on information. However, I still really wanted to read this because it is one of my new favorite series and I really enjoyed it. This is definitely character driven, not plot driven at all. It's pretty much exploring. Paige goes through some really terrible things throughout the Bone Season series, and this is really just her working through her trauma and really feeling for the first time the effects and the PTSD of everything that has happened to her throughout books 1 through 3, and kind of working through that and her mental health state at the beginning, setting us up for the beginning of book 4. And this is something that I absolutely appreciate in Samantha Shannon's writing as a whole, but especially in this novella. It was just really a nice relief to see topics like mental health being talked about so frankly, so candidly. It was such like a raw reading experience. I think a lot of times in fantasy settings, a lot of times, and I understand especially for plot-driven stories, it's hard to fit it in, but the discussion of mental health and obviously things that happen in epic fantasy series can take a toll on your mental health, especially if you're the chosen one or the leader of the rebellion or what have you. And I really enjoyed this breather in between the 2 books to really explore mental health in terms of fantasy. I love that. It's something I'd like to see more of because obviously in big fantasy settings and big fantasy stories, a lot of the things that our characters go through, there's definitely a case to be had for they probably all have some sort of PTSD or trauma from the events, especially, you know, these big huge wars, and just everything that has happened to Paige definitely has taken a mental toll on her. One of the reasons that I do love this series is that mental and physical health are never ignored in the story. So I really enjoyed reading that one as well. And then I've been on such a physical reading mood kick, which is really nice, which last month I was definitely more into audiobooks just because I was so busy and I had packed most of my books away. So I'm in a physical reading mood. So I did actually pick up today Seven Devils. This is by Laura Lamb and Elizabeth May, and this is a YA duology, I believe. It's a space opera and it is giving me all the Star Wars vibes. It is about 7 resistance fighters and they are fighting in a resistance to save their galaxy from an evil empire. So definitely very Star Warsian in that, but it is, from what I've read so far, I'm only on chapter 3, but it is very diverse. As of chapter 3, we do have 2 sapphic main-ish characters. One might be a side character, I'm not too sure, but one is a main character. Labels haven't been announced at this point in the story, but there are 2 sapphic characters, and then there is also a trans main side character as well. Again, I hesitate to call any of them except for our point of view that we've read from a main character, just because while there are several points of view in the story, I don't really know from chapter 3 who's the main character, who's going to be a side character yet, but our trans main character is one of the leaders of the rebellion, which is really cool. And I had heard this was a really fun, diverse, fast-paced science fiction, space opera, Star Warsian type of story, so that's why I wanted to pick this up. Been in a Star Wars mood pretty much since May 4th, and I know there are a ton of in-canon and Legends books that you can read in the Star Wars universe, but I was wanting to pick up like a different sort of experience in a different sort of world, but that had Star Wars vibes. So I am really enjoying this. I'm only on chapter 3. I've just been reading some really good books this week, which is always fun. So that's pretty much all I have for this update. Going into the weekend, looking forward to some reading time. I'm hoping that I will be able to finish Seven Devils, if not get a pretty large chunk of the way through it. But that is it for me for today's reading update. I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Hello vlog, happy Sunday. This is gonna be like the last wrap up clip of the vlog, and it's actually going to be it might be the last reading vlog, at least weekly reading vlog of May. I do have kind of a themed one based around a specific book for next week, so keep an eye out for that. But I did just want to come on and finish out the vlog. It has just been a really lazy weekend so far. We actually did some exploring to find some different places in our new city, which was fun. We got like these gourmet cinnamon buns, which are really good, and also all vegan, which is really cool because I'm vegan. There's actually like a ton of vegan options in my city, which is really cool, but I haven't like had like a gourmet dessert from a place in a while, so it's really cool to find. It's called Cinnaholic. They have several locations, but every single thing on their menu is vegan. And if you saw the cinnamon rolls in the B-roll footage before this, they are absolutely massive. We've been picking at them all weekend because they are very, very hefty, but very good. So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a laid back weekend. I'm gonna be honest, I'm filming this like towards the end of Sunday, and this was kind of like a hard day for me just because it was my sister's graduation and then also Mother's Day, and I am 10 hours away from my family, so I didn't really get to hang out with them, which is unfortunate. I think this is the first, not only, I think I've been pretty good, at least I think this far in my life, at being there for Mother's and Father's Day. This is like the first holiday that I'm away from my mom for that, and then also my sister graduated college, and it's the first time that I like haven't attended one of my siblings like big milestone events like that, but in the time of COVID, she could only have 2 people anyway, so it's not like I could have been at the ceremony, but I could have gone up. She graduated from Ohio State, so I could have gone up and just hung out in her house with the rest of my siblings. So they had like a celebration party, and I did get to FaceTime them, so I'm very thankful for technology for letting that happen. And I know that I am very, very lucky to still, while this was kind of a hard day for me to be apart from my family, at least I still got to call my mom and everything like that. I know Mother's and Father's Day can be a difficult day for some people, so while this is coming out after Mother's Day, hopefully everyone just had a really wonderful day, and I hope everyone felt really loved. Again, I'm fortunate enough to have such a strong connection with my family, and I love my mom so much, and I'm very, very grateful that I have that connection with her. I know not everyone is lucky enough to be able to even call their mom on FaceTime and celebrate. So it was a little bit of a hard day for me, just in terms of not being there. And kind of, I knew all along 10 hours away, definitely a lot farther away than 2 hours away, but today was really like the first kind of test. Whereas, you know, when we were 2 hours away, we would have driven down for the weekend and hung out with my family. So that was a little bit hard. But that was just a little bit of like a life update there. But in terms of reading, I didn't actually get too far into Seven Devils. I mentioned on Friday that I wanted to finish it by this weekend, and I mean, Sunday is not over yet, but I am about 1/4 of the way through this one, so I don't think I'm going to finish it this weekend, but I am really enjoying it. I'm on page 124, I think, out of about 450 pages. This is a lot of fun. I know I said earlier that it was YA. I think this would actually fit really comfortably into new adult, potentially adult, but I think new adult is a good place for it. All of the characters are 20 to 27 in that age range. Maybe not 27, maybe 25. The thing that makes me like think it's not adult is that there are several curse words in here that are changed to different words. So I have a feeling if this were adults, they would have just said the curse words, because it is sci-fi. It is based like our civilization, but thousands of years in the future. So I mean, I guess I don't know that much about language. I still feel like we would have the same curse words that we do today. So there are some invented ones in here that you can definitely tell are supposed to be taking place of other things. Like they start with S and they start with F. So that's like one of the indicators that for me, I feel like it's not adult, because I feel like if it was adult, it would have just had those in there. But it does like skew a little bit older than YA. So I think this is definitely one where if you primarily read YA or if you primarily read adult, I think either could enjoy this one. I'm really enjoying it. It definitely has Star Wars and almost a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, with some very ragtag characters having to all join together, first very, very reluctantly, and then they're starting to form connections and form friendships. So I am really enjoying this one. And it is funny because one of our main characters is named Ariadne, and obviously that's a book that I just got from Book of the Month. Again, I still haven't looked up how to say it, so hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Again, I'm trying to find an audiobook, at least sample, or even like a textbook audio sample of how to say that Greek myth name. I think it's Ariadne, but don't quote me on that. But that name, when I'm reading this, keeps reminding me that I do want to get to that one sooner rather than later, so that's fun. And that is really all the reading updates that I have for you. So I did read a little bit this weekend. I'll definitely be reading more the week to come, and it will be for like a themed reading vlog surrounding one specific book, so keep an eye out for that. Without saying too much, it's a very ambitious project, so I'm hoping that I can complete it. Hopefully, if you see like a regular weekly reading vlog after this one, just know I failed miserably with that. So fingers crossed we can get that special vlog up next week. But that is actually going to be it for this week's reading vlog. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content from me, stay safe, stay spooky, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!